Key & Peele's Harry Potter sketch from their 2012 Halloween special is suspiciously similar to an online sketch from 2007 with the same premise and many of the same jokes by an obscure sketch group called The Message. What I'm trying to figure out is if it's adapted, if it was stolen, or if this is all just some coincidence. Join me as I struggle to make this make some sense. If you haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, do that. It's the best way to watch my videos as far as I'm concerned, and it helps me grow the most. Alright, obviously joke theft and plagiarism are very serious accusations in the comedy world, but I'm not necessarily making those accusations. This thing wound up having a lot of twists and turns that I wasn't expecting, and some answers that only raise more questions.
Every question I answer will simply lead to another question.
I'm going to compare these sketches, both of which are inner-city, mockumentary-style parodies of everyone's favorite little devil-worshipping, chosen one white boy created by a TERF, Harry Potter. Let's start with Key & Peele and work our way back from there. Key & Peele Season 2, Episode 6, Michael Jackson Halloween, a classic Halloween episode. You got the titular Michael Jackson Halloween.
That's Michael Jackson. Right.
You got Human Centipede Reunion.
Do you ever stop eating? Ever?
You got Racist Zombies.
Are you getting this?
And you got our topic for this video, Inner City Wizard School.
Here's a wand with a silencer on it. Why? But I ask again, why?
This sketch parodies HBO's America Undercover documentary series and explores the underfunded American public wizarding educational system. Key & Peele are introduced as the security guard and principal at Vincent Clortho Public High School.
Principal here at Clortho, Vince Clortho High.
Vincent Clortho, by the way, is an extension of Vince Clortho, the demon that possesses Rick Moranis in Ghostbusters.
What did you say your name was? Vince Clortho, Keymaster of Gozer.
Notice that Peele doesn't actually say Vincent in the interview.
Vince Clortho High.
Also, the seal behind Peele says Vince, so giving him the full name Vincent was likely added in post. Just a fun detail. Moving on. Clortho is a school for wizards and witches, but all the whimsical elements of the Harry Potter books have been corrupted by the very real issues facing kids in the underfunded American public education system. It's a great idea for a sketch, but I'd seen it before. In 2007, there was a web series called The Message. The Message was adapted from the stage show of Los Angeles-based sketch group Cleo's Apartment. The Message was led by Giallo Riddle and Bashir Salahuddin, best known today for Southside and Sherman Showcase, and Robin Thede, best known today for a Black Lady sketch show. The Message released a video called Buster's School of Magic Tricks with the exact same premise as the Key & Peele sketch. This time it was a news story, but it still follows a failing public magic school with interviews, raw footage, and testimonials.
I mean, they got mugbloods. We got mugbloods, mug crips, and mug Latin kings.
Thede plays a reporter covering the story, and Salahuddin and Riddle play the principal and head teacher of the school.
Technically, I'm the Grand Wizard, but some of the black students had a problem with that.
Merlin Jones, by the way, is an old Annette Funicello movie that I used to watch on Vault Disney as a kid.
They call him Merlin Jones, the scrambled egghead. Merlin Jones, the campus kook. But my heart's whirling, I'm the girl in love with Merlin Jones.
Just a fun detail. Moving on. Both sketches make multiple comparisons to Hogwarts.
Would I like to offer our kids the same things that they offer at Hogwarts? Sure. But we are underfunded.
We may not have a huge endowment like they get over at Hogwarts.
Both sketches feature security guards breaking up fights.
Do not touch me! Do not get in my face!
Y'all supposed to be learning magic.
Now knock it off!
Both sketches feature students being turned into animals. Note the suspiciously similar names.
Y'all remember Jamal? Y'all could all end up in the tank.
One kid got transformed into a cat. They can't even afford to change him back.
This young man's name is Jamar.
Also, this would not be the last time Key & Peele would put a do-rag on a cat. Another fun detail. And both sketches make jokes about Quidditch players riding Swiffers.
After team is back here riding mops, we got two little on Swiffer. Lester.
They didn't even give me a real broom, you know? They gave me the Swiffer.
These sketches are far from identical. The Message sketch is a more pointed critique of the education system, and it has many jokes that are completely unrelated to magic.
We got these out-of-date globes. Look at this. Gall. The hinterland.
It also deals more directly with the students.
This is what I learned. I ain't never seen Harry Potter do this. Wanted to be a wizard.
Also, I just want to give him props for making a Doctor Strange joke in 2007.
We had him take the portrait of Doctor Strange off the wall.
The Key and Peele sketch has a much bigger budget, so they could afford props and special effects. You get a lot more visual effects that weren't possible for the message, like Key's Mad Eye Moody monocle, the wand with the silencer, wands that really emit spells, and brooms that actually fly. For a long time, I had just assumed that someone from the message had become a writer for Key and Peele and remade the sketch, but then I couldn't find any evidence of a member of the message working for Key and Peele. Except for one, Robin Thede. And she's in this Halloween special, in the Human Centipede sketch. She doesn't even do anything funny, it's just a cameo.
I'm gonna go wash my hands.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay. See you in a second.
But there she is, right there, exact same episode as the Hogwarts sketch. She's not credited as a writer, but damn, that seems significant. So I messaged Robin Thede. She's the common denominator in all this, and if anyone knows what happened, it'd be her.
Several days later.
Of course, she did not get back to me. Oh well, that's the closest official connection there is, but it doesn't quite fit, does it? I'm looking for a writing credit here, and she's a guest star. Key and Peele credits don't attribute sketches to writers, and the message only did credits for their final sketch, so how about this? Have Key and or Peele ever acknowledged the message's sketch in any way? And they had. Well, Key had, anyway. During a Reddit AMA from November 6, 2012, just a few days after that Halloween special aired, a user named Drew Flags posted Buster's School of Magic Tricks and asked Key and Peele if they'd seen it. And Key responded, "We have not seen this video. Thanks for showing us. We mean it. No sarcasm." That parenthetical is something else. Is Key saying that they have seen it before, or that they hadn't seen it and are not so thankful to learn that their sketch isn't unique? I felt like an idiot at first for not getting what he meant by this, but then I remembered there is a Key and Peele sketch specifically about how easily sarcasm can be misread through text.
You are priceless. Aww, you're the one who's priceless? This mother right here.
Maybe it means something else entirely. Yet again, we're right there, but the answers only raise more questions. So what do we do now? I know. Let's watch an episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show from 1963.
The Van Show, starring Van.
The main character, the one DVD plays, Rob Petrie. Rob works as a writer on a comedy variety show called The Alan Brady Show. And in Season 2, Episode 32, titled When a Bowling Pin Talks, listen, he accidentally steals an idea for a sketch. He and the rest of the writer's room have had no good ideas all week, and he asks his son Richie for a funny sketch idea. Richie suggests a talking bowling pin, and Rob runs with it.
What's so funny about a bowling pin?
What if this bowling pin talk?
But unbeknownst to Rob, Richie only said that because he'd seen it earlier that day while watching Uncle Spunky, his favorite show.
Oh gosh, Mom, not now. Uncle Spunky pretending he's a bowling pin.
The most fascinating part of the episode to me is what happens when Rob pitches the idea in the writer's room. Most of the jokes that he and the other writers come up with are exactly like the jokes in the Uncle Spunky sketch, despite none of them having seen it.
Are you trying to tell us we stole that from the Uncle Spunky show?
That's close enough. This is about a talking bowling pin, right?
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh boy, that pin boy's got cold hands." Lines like that?
Oh boy.
This is a concept known as parallel thinking, and it's incredibly common in creative fields as a whole. Parallel movies, better known as twin films, have an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to them with stuff like The Warriors and the Wanderers, Deep Impact and Armageddon, and No Strings Attached, and Friends with Benefits. There are parallel comic book characters like the two Dennis the Menaces, X-Men and Doom Patrol, Bucky O'Hare and Jackson Tumparacky, or the Winter Soldier and the Red Hood. There are parallel songs with the same riffs. Ones that use the same sample.
What you think?
and ones with damn near the same hook.
Going nowhere. We ain't.
Bring it! What? We right here. We're not going anywhere.
In comedy, this is rampant for many reasons. Sometimes it's just because comedians talk about universal experiences. Vulture did an article about how 6 different comedy groups have done dating app sketches about settling for love over the course of about 2 years. SNL made one of those sketches, and they get accused of stealing jokes every few years, including jokes from Key and Peele, who acknowledged it as a total coincidence. However, SNL alum Jay Moore has straight up admitted to stealing sketch ideas on at least one occasion.
Jay Moore stole it. Wrote about it in his book that he stole it. Said I was getting paid. I didn't get paid a dime.
Plagiarism is especially a point of contention in stand-up comedy and has been attributed to the likes of Carlos Mencia, Dane Cook, Amy Schumer, Dennis Leary, and Robin Williams, among others. And while many have survived the accusation, in some cases, like Mencia's, it's been known to end careers. Hell, back in the vaudeville days, W.C. Fields allegedly paid a guy $50 to break a joke-stealing comedian's legs.
Hold your temper. Count 10. Now let her go. You got a good aim.
In a Key and Peele Reddit AMA from 2013, a year after they aired that fateful Halloween special, a user named Animal93 asked them about how it feels to have your joke stolen, and Jordan Peele responded, "It's happened to all of us. The best is to remember it's just jokes and you can always come up with another. We try to keep ego and desire for credit out of our process. That being said, we bend over backwards sometimes not to steal jokes." What happened here? It's possible that the Key and Peele sketch was written with no prior knowledge of the message sketch, and that Robin Thede's cameo was just a coincidence on top of another coincidence. Stranger things have happened. One time, John Cena and Batista lost the 2005 Royal Rumble at the exact same time on accident. It wouldn't have looked that good if they had planned it. When Vince McMahon called an audible, tried to get in the ring and fix it, he wound up tearing both of his quads at the same time. Total Murphy's Law on live TV. All I'm saying is, I've seen a coincidence on top of a coincidence before. It's entirely possible. But I will say that even after Dick Van Dyke and the 2005 Royal Rumble, I have a hard time believing this is all just coincidence. And that's mainly down to one joke. The fish named Jamal and the cat named Jamar. Those jokes are so insanely close that it definitely heads into can I copy your homework territory, and that makes all the other similar jokes look more suspicious by association. It's also possible that Key and Peele figured out the sketch was unoriginal too late into production and offered Thede the guest spot as some form of compensation. It's also possible that none of these things happened and it was something way more complex or way more simple. Hey, while editing this video, I realized that Merlin Jones and Rick Moranis' Vince Clortho from my fun details earlier both wear these homemade headpieces with electrodes all over them. And that coincidence is so weird that I now have a third theory that an actual demon is involved in all of this somehow, and he's laughing at all of us. I'm doing my best with the information given. Speculation can be entertaining, but we have no idea. This is inconclusive, and that's frustrating.
Oh, shit, that's aggravating.
I'm here to be there.
But all the key players turned out fine. Robin Thede has a Black Lady sketch show.
You need to take notes on this. It's Black History.
Outside of their 2 TV shows together, I once heard Diallo Riddle on an episode of Pat Finnerty's music podcast, and then he started his own music podcast, the One Song Podcast. Bashir Salahuddin was Tom Cruise's black friend in Top Gun 2, and Keegan-Michael Key was a mushroom in the Mario movie. Those were both wildly successful. And of course, Jordan Peele is unprecedented. He transitioned from comedic acting to directing critically acclaimed horror films. They are all, officially, a black excellence, like the Wayans and Robert Townsends before them. And I'm still trying to be a black excellence myself. Making these kinds of observations is my attempt at getting there. If it isn't obvious yet, I'm into a lot of different branches of popular culture, but sketch comedy was one of my first loves. My parents watching in living color is some of my earliest memories. I was never into the Mad TV versus SNL thing because I understood that both were great sometimes and both sucked sometimes. I watched Key and Peele since their Mad TV days. I watched staples like Kids in the Hall, The State, and Monty Python. I collected Mr. Show and UCB DVDs as a teenager. I watched The Message on YouTube when I was in college, and Donald Glover's early stuff with Derek Comedy, and stuff no one watched but me, like the Super Rumble Mix Show.
It's the Super Rumble Mix Show.
I've even studied in places like Second City and I.O. when I lived in Chicago, and the Groundlings when I lived in LA. So making this video is a bigger deal to me than it probably should be. I know there's more important things going on in the world right now, but it was important to me that I wasn't disrespectful to these people's creative processes, because I know this isn't an easy thing to do. If you'd like to make things easier on my creative process, share my stuff, comment on my stuff, subscribe to me on YouTube if you can, donate to my Patreon, 3 low tiers, $1, $3, and $5. I am endlessly grateful to the patrons that I currently have: Celeste Santiago, Paul Hendrick, Michael Horton, and Arthur Brandon III. I could not have done this without you. Thank you dearly. I also wanted to thank FD Signifier for recommending my channel. He's been a huge influence on my stuff. And thanks to all the new patrons and subscribers that showed up as a result. I'm really glad you're here. Lord knows I needed you. I would love to see that support grow, so if you like what I'm doing, all I can say is there's so much more I want to tell you about, and for whatever reason I am uniquely gifted at highlighting certain things that would otherwise go unnoticed. But I can't get there without some support, so if you want to see how deep the rabbit hole really goes, consider making a donation, or if you know of any job opportunities where skills like these could be put to good use for fair pay, let me know. Maybe one day we can get this thing to a point where our Robin Thede will see a message from a Nicholas Nameless and think to herself, sure, I've maybe heard of that guy. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, until then.